guys, welcome back to the shop. So it's time to go ahead and start on James Green's job here. And once again, I've got to take this piece here, bore it and thread it to screw onto this spindle there. So we've got to do a gear change on the Victor, and I've already done it here recently because I had another little job that I did, but I got to change it out, the gears again. I figured I'd go ahead and show you guys how the gear change works on the Victor. It's a pretty simple operation, so we'll do that. What I've been doing here is I've been figuring out what my bore size is going to be for the thread pitch. And so what this is here, now this is a factory Grizzly spindle. I wish I would have wrote down what lathe it was for. Now I can't remember. Let's see. Oh, it's a G0602 Lathe from Grizzly. And I don't know if you can see this, but James said that that's a factory cut, and those threads look like they've got quite a bit of chatter in them. So I was a little disappointed to see this coming from a factory made item. Everything else on it looks great, but then you get down here on these threads and there's a little chatter. Now there's nothing wrong with that. The part's going to work fine. I was just pointing that out there. So the way I'm going to figure this thread, and it's something I've talked about before, I like to use an app on my phone called iMachinist, and it works pretty good. You go to it, you go to threading and drilling, and you got tap drill size, and you got tap drill millimeter. So we're going to do metric. Tap drill millimeter, and this diameter is 39 millimeter. And while I'm thinking about that, I thought this was pretty funny. Whenever he had asked me about this before, I was like, hey, I might get lucky and have a tap where I can just drill it and run a tap through there. So I went and found it, and this is what I got. It's a 40 millimeter by 1.5, 1 millimeter off. So this is sort of a weird bastard size, I guess. So we're going to do it single point style on the lathe. So again, this is 39 millimeter. It's a 1.5 thread pitch. So in your app, you type in your major diameter, and I'm going to put 39. Percentage of thread, I always hit 75. That seems to be the normal. And then millimeter pitch is 1.5. Hit calculate, and it gives me a tap drill size of 37.53 millimeter. And when I convert that over to inch dimension, which is what I use, is 1.478 inches. So we're going to bore this to 1.478, and then we'll set threading tool up there and thread it. And then I'll just fit it. Once I get it there close, I'll take that spindle over there and get it to where it screws on there nice. So that's what we got to do. And I told you a second ago, I've already changed it out. I had another little job that I was fiddling with, and I didn't put it on camera because I didn't know how it was going to work out. But I'll go ahead and show this anyway. I just did this yesterday, and this is the part that I copied here. And you guys might recognize what this is. It's that stupid thread that they put on like all of your brooms and rakes now that screw down into something. And a friend of mine brought me that and said, hey, I've got a really good old school rake that I love to use, and it takes that thread, and he wanted to know, could I make one out of aluminum that he can put on his handle and drill and put a bolt through it, so hopefully it'll be a lot stronger. So I copied that the best I could, and it's a round thread with a flat bottom and a round thread. So what I did is I threaded it, and that's a 5 millimeter pitch. I threaded it with like an Acme tool. I found an Acme tool that fit down in this close. It was the same width at the bottom. So I cut that, and then I just used a file on each side and just kind of profile it round. Just kept filing it until I was getting that round shape to it. So it ain't nothing precision. This is going to be screwing down into a rake. So he's been wanting me to get this for a while, and it's been sitting over here on my bench for a few months now. So I got that done, and so we're gonna move on to James stuff now. I'm gonna get ready here, and I'll try to show you how to do the gear change on the Victor. Okay. All right. So here's the chart on the Victor. All right. Here's the Victor lathe, 1660, and here's your chart that gives you all your numbers that you need to know for your feed rates and your threads per inch and the gear train setup. So normally what we're running is this one right here, these three. Okay. A and B is a 25 and a 50 tooth gear, and that's showing it right here. You got A at the top, which would be a 25. You're running 127 in the center. That always stays there. And then at the bottom you're running B, which is on this one is a 50. Same way, all these are always 25 and 50. So any of this stuff here I'm not ever changing. So when you come down here to the metric, this is when you've got to do your gear change, and it shows you how you've got to set up your gears here. So at the top, your A, the gear for the A position is listed right here, and you have those different gears, you know, a 22, 25, and so on. Down here at the bottom, your bottom gear, which would be like where your B is, we're going to run a 70 tooth here. So we have to adapt it for a 70 tooth here, and you got to change the top. So what we're going to do is, right now I've got it in I've got a 50 tooth in the A position here, but what we need is 1.5. okay, so we're going to have to change it to a 25. So we'll swap that back out for a 25 tooth gear on the top, and run the 75, or I'm sorry, the 70 at the bottom there. All right. I hope that made sense to you. All right, ready to change these gears out. And first thing I did was turn the lathe off, shut the power off to it. It does have a safety switch, so if this cover's open, it won't run anyway. But better be safe than sorry. So you just pull these two screws out, and it gets into the gear change here on the end. Okay, so here's the gear at the top that I've got to change to back to the 25 here, and that's normally what's on here is this gear. So really all I've got to do is pull this gear off and put the 25 on, because the 70, which is down here at the bottom, let me see, yeah, I've already got this one running. Let me give you, so you can see a little better here. So here's the 70, and it's running the 105 here, and this one is a 50 tooth at the top. So this was set up to cut a 5.0 thread pitch. All right, so it's really not that hard. It's a little tricky to get in there. I have to use a wrench and adjust it. So first thing I'm going to do is take that top gear off. There's a bolt and the little spacer there. And what I want to do, I want to rotate that around so the key's on the top side. Okay. All right, that one comes off. And we're going to put the 25 up here. 25, I'm just double checking. 25. All right, that's 25. Put the bolt and spacer back on here. Snug her up. Okay, so you've got two adjustments to adjust these gears. You've got one stud over here with a nut that will allow this bottom piece to pivot, which is what we're going to do. And you've also got another one back here that you can loosen to adjust these gears in and out over on this side. And I've got it set good, and so really all I should have to do is just pivot this up. You can see I've got to loosen this nut here. You can see the mechanism in there, the bracket and everything. And we're just going to pull this up to this gear. So I'm going to see if I can do that without blocking you too bad. I'll just get it up there kind of close and just snug it a little. All right, I'm in there a little too tight, so that little plastic hammer here. Okay. That should be pretty good. You don't want them binding up really tight. Okay. That should be pretty good. All right. Running a 25. All right, this one's coming down and running the 127, which is here. All right, the 105, which is this gear, is mounted on here also. And the 105 is running the 70-tooth gear here. So we should be good to go. And of course, we'll check it before we start and make sure that it's doing the right job. So what I want to do before I ever even start the job itself, I want to go ahead and check this and see if I've got the gears set correctly, which I should, but it's always good to double check it. So on my lathe here, you've got A, C, and B, or A, B, C, and you have E and D here. All right, so we want to cut a 1.5 pitch, so we're going to be a BD 3. And what you got to be careful on this one, or I have to be careful, is that these numbers aren't in a row here like they are up at the top, 1 through 8, your tumbler gears, which is this one. So you've got to pay attention that you've got it in the right selection up here. So we should be in BD3, B, D, and 3. I'm just going to make a little scratch pass and see if we're good. Now, the other thing that you got to keep in mind, my experience on the lathes that I run to cut metric thread, is you cannot disengage the half nut. You have to be able to reverse it and come back out and keep cutting until you get to depth. If you pull your, if you disengage your half nuts, you're not going to line up right. So when we do this, we just keep it engaged until we're through. Now I'm not going to cut a full thread, I'm just going to scratch it. Just dial in a few thousandths here. I'm just going to engage it on any line, it's going to stay there. We'll hit 3. Alright, I just backed out, I hit the foot pedal, and I got to get in here closer and look at this. But it looks like we're on it. Okay, that looks like a 1.5 pitch. I'll play with this a little more just to demonstrate. So I've got the half nuts engaged still. I'm going to reverse it. Bring the cross slide back to 0. You can feed in on your compound and then engage it again. You do it just like that if you have to. That's what's nice about that foot brake. You can just stop it instantly. And then reverse it. Run it back into 0. Take another cut. Just like that. So we're definitely on 1.5. It's fitting in there good. So there's our little test piece. And say I'm done with this thread now. It's all good to go. Now you can disengage the half nuts there. Okay. Well, let's get set up and start doing some drilling and boring. Okay, got her set up in the 3-jaw, and I'm gonna do a little face cut on it just to clean it up, and we'll do some drilling. Now it's a little noisy because I got the fan on. It's starting to get a little warm out here, and I need a little ventilation, so you guys are gonna hear that in the background. We'll take a little cleanup cut on this face. Alright, that looks good. Now what we're going to do, once it's bored, we're not going to thread this all the way through here because it doesn't need to screw all the way on. He's on the back of that spindle, there's actually 2 lock nuts that screw on. And this is going to take the place of the jam nut. So what we're going to do is just, I'm going to have half of this counterboard. I believe I'm going to counterboard to like 1 5/8. And then what we'll do is we'll flip it around and bore it to size and thread just half of it. I don't know if I had mentioned that yet, I can't remember, but this is stainless steel. And that's just a slug that James supplied me that he wanted me to use. I'm going to go ahead and go in with a 1 1/8" drill, and then I'm going to put the 1 7/16" drill in there, and that'll put us pretty close to our finished bore size. Alright, let's see, let's slow her down. Now I could probably go on in there with the 1 7, but I like to step drill it like this because it's just easier. It's easier to drill, and you're not creating as much tool pressure and quite as much heat. a good drill, it'll go right on in there on that stainless. Alright, I think I'm going to slow it down again. My next one is going to be 65. Okay, parts drilled. That wasn't that bad at all. Alright, so let me set up a boring bar and we'll do some counter boring. Okay, the part's just a smidge over 1.5 inches long. We're going to counter bore half of that to, we're just going to take it to 1 5/8, and then what I want to do, I'm going to flip it around and finish the bore for the thread size, because this chuck isn't perfect anymore, and I know that if I bore it to size and then flip it around, because I want the threads to be out here where I can see them, that bore won't run true perfectly, and I want it to run true with the threads. So we'll go ahead and do the counter bore real quick. So we're gonna go halfway. It should be 3/4. So let me get my my depth set. Okay, there's my set, 0 set. Now the feed rate's going to be different on this because I've got it set up for metric threading. I don't know where it's at, so I'm just doing the feed rate by sight. Take a 50 cut, just see how it's going to do. Alright, that ain't bad. Don't have a whole lot to take out of here, so take another 50 thousandths and then we'll check it and see. This isn't going to be a critical measurement, so I'm just going to use the calipers here. Alright, so we got 60, 70, 80, about 85 thousandths left to come out of there. Do another 50. Should leave us about 35 to come out. I'm gonna call it about 590. I can't ever get it. There it is, 590. So 25 plus 10, that'll be 35. So we'll just make a 35 thousandths cut and that'll be done. Once I get in there to my shoulder, I'm going to feed in an extra 5 and then face it back. Clean that face up there, make it look nice. Get these damn chips out of here. Okay, that bore looks good. I just need to put a chamfer on it. And that's close enough to our 1 5/8 right there. About 623, 624. Alright, touch that OD too. Make it look good. Okay. Pretty warm. You can get a rag right and touch it. What I'm going to do is take it out. I'm going to put it in front of my fan for a few minutes and just let it cool down, because our next threading or boring that we got to do, we're not taking a whole lot of metal out of there. So let me go cool her down.